Good morning, Celestine. Welcome to our 9th episode on the Strathmore Vibes podcast. And today we are going to dive into parenting as our podcast or as our title. And thank you so much for creating time to be here. Please introduce yourself.
This is very interesting. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Teresa?
I'm very fine, thank you.
My name is Celestine Kanjama.
Yes.
I am a mother, a wife, and I a mother of both living and the ones in heaven. So it's very interesting.
So sorry for that.
And then I work here in Strathmore at the mentoring department. And I'm very happy to be here and have this chat with you on parenting. But it's an exciting place to be and topic to discuss.
Oh, for sure. Being in the mentoring department.
Yes.
Perfect. So how has motherhood been so far? How old is your baby?
Oh, so my little boy, over the weekend I listened to Jordan Peterson and was very keen on how we call our children and look after them and say, the prince, the what. So I'll say, that little guy, he's 4 years old, he's turning 5, very excited and looking forward to turning 5. So every day has been a day of, when is my birthday? Is it coming soon? The birthday gift, let's go and shop. So very exciting.
Wow. So
parenting has been a very special journey for me. I think I have enjoyed each and every bit of it. It is a very happy place to be. So what do I mean by that? Just the realization, especially from the moment that child lands on earth. Of course, the conception, carrying of pregnancy is also very special because you have a different way you connect with the child. It brings the aspect of hope closer home because you keep thinking, I can't wait to wait for this little being in my womb. Then they come and then you realize, Allah, it's such a tiny thing, needs help, can't do anything, has to be taught how to feed. So from that moment, the whole wiring of a person changes. And I don't think just for me as a mother, but even of the man as a father. So we both had that wiring that changes and makes you realize, here we have someone to look after. We have a responsibility. We have someone to nurture into a being. I listened to another podcast by Father Connor, and he talks about the children come in like little animals. Then you have to mold them into human beings. So actually that is parenting, that we get this person put together, and then you have the job now to mold and really socialize the person, make the person resonate, relate well, work well with everyone in society. So it's a very interesting space, and I have enjoyed the journey.
Okay, so maybe just briefly, how will you describe parenting in 3 words?
Parenting is a gift, a journey, and beautiful. Okay.
You mentioned that you work in the mentoring department. And just thinking, as a young mother, how do you balance your career as well as motherhood, that is parenthood?
Wow, big question. First, I'll start by this disclaimer that we got our baby during COVID. And sometimes I think COVID was a blessing for us because that way we were home. We had the baby, we were working from home. So by the time I was coming back to work, the child was about to turn 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah? So initially it was difficult to adjust, to think that now I have to leave him and come to work with her in the hands of a house help. It was quite a struggle. But then some of the things that we intentionally thought about was in this, with our back to work scenario, we need to also think of how well taken care of the boy will be. So that means getting a reliable house manager to support you in the journey. I think it's a whole story, a whole place to discuss. One day have a discussion, a vibe on house managers because it's a good place to talk. So of course, so we had to get someone that could support. But in the process, as a parent, you have to also plan the day. Yeah, by the time you're leaving, you need to be aware, what is the baby having for breakfast? For 10 o'clock, do you have a routine for the day? At what point do they sleep? When do they take their bath? When do they go out to play? So as much as I'm in the office, all those things I had to put in place, organize, and tell the house manager to support me in that space. Yeah? Initially, because they're younger and they can't talk, you don't know what happened in the day. But when you reach home in the evening, you will be able to tell whether the child is harassed or not harassed. Yeah? So you'll be able to see from the way they cling on you, how much crying is happening. Yeah, so if you reach home and the child is crying endlessly, it's good to find out what has happened to that child during the day. The way they feed, yeah, if they resist going to their house girl or they're going to the house manager in fear, you'll be able to tell how the child was managed in the day. Yeah? And even the cleanliness and warmth, if they're well dressed and how they're fed. And then later on, they start talking. And that is more exciting because now they can tell you.
Yes.
So when you come home, they're giving you feedback. Oh, today I woke up, I did this, I played with so-and-so, I fought with so-and-so, this other thing happened. Yeah. One of the hardest part of parenting and work was when I felt that my child was being harassed in the estate a bit by a neighbor's child. And when I would come back home, the child would start by, I was playing with so-and-so and this is what they did, and the story would go on. And I tried to approach the lady, with the parent. They were not very responsive to my approach, and the aim was, let's try to teach our children to play together in a good way. So in the end, I had to direct that play. I'm not there, but to tell the boy, now, when you go out to play, avoid playing with so-and-so because they don't know how to play. Yeah? And then try to focus. So in the end, part of the parenting, as much as you're not home, is also to know whom are your children interacting with. Whom are they playing with? Because they have a direct influence on their character and how they enjoy their space and life. Then coming to the office, I'm glad that I work in Strathmore. I think it's a very family-oriented work environment.
For sure.
So when you come in and you need to attend to a sick child, it is okay. Yeah, you are able to go. In fact, a case in scenario is that I had a house help that was a bit like that. So my neighbor had a child crying and thought it was my child. But when she went to my house, she discovered that my child was not treated well. Yeah, so he had been left there with feed himself, too wet.
Poor baby.
So she took the child to her house and then she called me to tell me, hey, you're home, there's something, you're literally ready, there's something amiss. And I remember I didn't even inform my boss. I just called my husband and told him, wherever you are, you better be here in 5 minutes, I need to be home. And luckily he came and we drove home like, Safari Rally drivers. And then I reached and I found, wow, the house manager I had, I think, she was 3 days old in my house.
Just 3 days?
3 days old. So anyway, we had to let her go. And then later on, I called my boss and said, hey, I had an emergency. I had to dash home to take care of my child. So I am not in the office. Yeah, and it was very nice because he accommodated that space. So that flexibility that the work environment gives really also becomes a supportive place for the parent in the parenting journey. If they woke up in the morning and your child is sick, it's easier to call and say, hey, I need to dash to the hospital, then I will come. So being in a work environment that is pro-family has made parenting much easier for me than I guess if I was in another place where they will not care. Yeah.
Okay. As you are responding to that question, you mentioned, or rather you've highlighted a number of challenges. And I believe that there are challenges in as we undergo this parenting journey. What are other challenges that you have encountered as a parent?
Yeah, so now parenting challenge. I think allow me just to use my son as the model.
Okay.
Because that is where the experience comes from. So the next challenge that I got was when it was time to go to school. And we had to choose a school for the child to go to. And they are the ideal schools. And then there's the reality. Yeah? So I remember we spent quite like a whole week scouting, going to different schools. And some schools were beautiful. And we thought, this is the place. That is the aesthetics part of it. And then some schools were okay. But then you think, okay, so there's the aspect of cost, accessibility, and the quality or what you're looking for, and if they really align with what you want to instill in your child. So that I thought was a real challenge, and we really had to sit down and talk with my husband of what do we want, because there was the option of take a child to this school, pay so much money, so that they can make it to this school that you're dreaming of. We hope our son goes to Strathmore School.
Amen.
So the plan, when you go, you are told, okay, go to this kindergarten, because there they will take. But then you look at the amount of money you need to pay, and you're thinking, and then the hours. The hours, because if you choose to take this child to this school, it means he has to leave the house at 6. Oh, no. He's only 3. So we looked at all those dynamics, and in the end we thought, no, we are going to go to a school which aligns with our values as much as possible. We are going to also choose a school that fits within our means. So we will not go overboard. And then not only that, a school that allows the child to leave home after some hours. So my son leaves home at 8. He wakes up at 7:30. He leaves at 8 and he's home by 4:30, 4:15. So I find those hours better than having to leave so early, drop the child in school so early, and it makes it acrimonious. They don't enjoy going to school in that process. So choice of school was one of the challenges. The other challenge, as I spoke already, was about the house manager, which was a real challenge. The other one is also to you see, remember I told you this child comes and you have to help him develop into a human sociable person. So this aspect of training the will, building the will of the child, which can really be tough, especially when there's the basics that both parents understand, and then you also know that a mother and a father are different. So mothers provide security, and fathers more or less give direction. And that's why when you observe your little child going out to play, especially when they start going, they'll go play. When they encounter any difficulty, they'll run to their mother and not to their father. So the mother is concerned of who is this child now, and then the father looks at what is he going to be. So it brings in that. So from that aspect, the challenge is there's something to do with training the will. So that means also we are going to be different in the way that you're going to demand of this child. So there's that one of excusing. If a child hits you, you want to excuse. If a child, and then there's the other one who is firm. So you can find that, especially when the parents are at it, it's something that I think they have to constantly talk about so that they align. And then to allow, So if you're the one who easily reprimands, the other spouse needs to allow you to do that, but also tell you are too hard. So it could be a challenge if the two don't get to agree in that line. And then the last challenge that I would comment about is in relation to family and relatives. And this one I'm going to borrow heavily from a friend of mine who told me the other day, where I am? Even my own sister, when they invite my children to a birthday in their house, if they don't invite me, I don't show up.
The kids don't show up.
No, the kids don't show up and she won't go, But it's true, because we are in a place where there's a lot of information. So the kids are becoming aware of so many things. So there's a battle of how much information should I give? How much should I delay? Because I want my child. So also just allowing them into those spaces can be a challenge. And sometimes the family, the relatives might not understand. They're thinking,
for sure.
I mean, this is my little nephew. Give him to me. I want to do. But they're thinking, it is true we've come from the same parents' homes, but our values seem to be a bit different. You are a bit more of, it is okay, the children can watch whatever they want, while in my space I'm thinking I have to be there. So those are, I think, the few of the challenges that I will bring up.
Okay. You've brought in the whole aspect of there is a lot of information out here, and this can be from technologies everywhere, TV, social media. I know your son is so young. You mentioned 4 years, but do they have screen time, and how do you manage their screen time?
Yes, they do. They do have screen time. Also, okay, as I told you, each family is each. So our screen time only happens when we are home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is a rule in our home that there's no TV watching until mommy and daddy are home. Again, I'll give a typical example of challenge of parenting. So I am that parent of screen time is 1 hour. Yeah. But I also feel it's an attribute of men that they easily like TV and they can sit there for hours. So, for example, as a mother, you've prepared everything. You're saying, okay, it's bedtime. I'm going to do this. Then you find guys are sitting and they're still watching Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol is a common cartoon in my house. Yeah. And I think, gosh, guys, you're supposed to be in bed. Yeah. So they won't be watching anything that is off, but they still, yeah. So that was also a challenge that we had to navigate with my husband and the child and agree. So in our home, we do screen time in the evening. He has about an hour. Now because he's in PP1, he gets to watch a little bit more, that 1 hour. But I guess with time, with the demands of school, the screen time will keep reducing. When he was younger, he will grab our phones and he managed to know how to navigate and get the Cocomelon and to watch he loves anything with racing cars. So you'll find him on the phone watching. And then we had to have a discussion. So we told him clearly, you cannot take mama's phone. You can not take baba's phone. The TV is what we're going to watch. Few times he will take it, but that is how we are trying to manage to have also candid discussions on you can't watch what we can't see because we like to know what you're watching. And be part of it. Yeah.
Perfect. You're just mentioning every time there is something that you need to discuss between you and the dad, you will always discuss screen time, him taking your phones. And now, what support system has made a big difference in your parenting journey?
Oh, very good support system. Again, I go back to family. I think family has been a very big support. Allow me to mention my little nephew, Elam. Okay. Elam is only 8 years.
Hey.
But I think he's a very good support in our parenting journey. Why? Okay, Elam is my sister's son, who is a single mom. So it happens that every weekend Elam comes to our home and during the holidays. And that really helped our little Ireri to learn many things. How to...
His name is?
My son.
Yes.
Ireri.
What a beautiful name. That is so unique.
So Elam comes in and the play, the sharing of things, the boxing of each. I think boys need that. So I think that has been a very good support. I also could mention my in-laws. Yeah, they have shown up and there's that constant care of even calling. Yeah, calling. A few of the aunties, Auntie Cecily is oftenly called Auntie Wangeshi, just to talk about nothing. And sometimes the stories of schools are told to them and not to me.
But do you go to school? No, you go to work. So
I go to work, but even then they go to work. But they're the ones. Also from a spiritual angle, I think the pastor in our church, the priest, we go to the nunciature. And I the other day I asked my young guy, Ireri, what do you talk about? He said, Bishop Bart prays for me and he tells me to be a good boy. So I can't take it also for granted because even those few minutes that they hang out every Sunday, they have an influence on who he is. The other support is the teacher in school. I think at that age, the kindergarten teacher has to be your friend. There are things that he has managed to do because of the support of the teacher. For example, potty training. Yeah, it was quite a challenge.
That was done in school?
No, we did it at home. But for us to break through, you don't need to, because you'll only poop if he's in a diaper. So the teacher, we talked to the teacher because he said in school, we are told to susu, but not to. So we talked to the teacher told him, and the next thing he was using the washroom. Yeah. Even as recently, the aspect of feeding himself, because he'll feed himself in school, then at home he expects to be fed.
Oh no.
So we had a call with the teacher, and the teacher told him, I'm going to ask Mama to put CCTV in your house to see. So if I see you being fed, you go back to playgroup.
Ooh.
And that was the cure.
It worked.
The cure, even dressing, yeah. So I think if the teacher in school is a good support, because they are able to penetrate, and the children really look up to them. So if you work together, then you get them to do quite a lot of things, including friends. Yeah, friends, my neighbors. I think I have a very good supportive neighborhood. Even if I'm caught up, I just need to say, hey, I'm caught up, and they'll take my child in. When I'm leaving and the child is crying, you'll see a neighbor come take him, and that is it. Yeah, so I think also my neighbors are very supportive.
That is a family. It is not even a neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes before we go into parenthood, but where I am seated today, I understand that we are very different human beings as opposed to when we become parents. So what's the most surprising thing you have learned about yourself since you became a parent?
That is a very good question. The one thing that I've learned about myself is, I think, patience. Patience is the one.
Yes.
Because before, I was a person of let's move. And if you're not moving, what's the problem with you? Why can't you just do it? Now, with the child, I've learned, hey, you need to say it 101 times. Yeah, you are reading. Okay, you need to read for me box. But you know that box, you can't say box. It has to be in sounds, boo, And you're thinking, what is that? Yeah? But you can see the guy struggling until he pronounces it. Yeah, that the 3 is written like a butterfly. Then you see him struggling until he writes. Yeah. So I think patience is the biggest thing that I have learned in my parenting.
I will say so as well. Okay. What would you tell your younger self when you were just starting out as a parent?
What will I tell my younger self? To be patient with myself. Yeah, I think to be patient and also that it is okay. To let it be, yeah, because I think then I thought things there's a script that I was following. But now when I look in retrospect, I think, yeah, it is okay. Let it be and let me be, yeah? Yeah, so that's what I'll tell myself.
Okay, there are no scripts in parenting. I totally understand that. Looking back, what parenting trend or advice do you wish you would have ignored?
Trend and advice I would have ignored. One of the parental advice I'll have ignored. Can I say the one that I ignored? Before the one that I'll have ignored. The one that I ignored is the aspect of setting a routine from when the child was born. And I always thank God for one of my colleagues, Caroline Wakori. Remember I told her I gave birth in COVID, and then she called me and she told me, Celestine, don't kill yourself creating a routine for the child. That child is a human being. Things will fall in place. They will get their own pattern. They'll get their own system. I'm grateful that happened.
A big shout out to you, Mrs. Caroline Wakori. She's my mentor.
Oh, nice. Because I kept thinking, I don't know if I'll have managed to time that now wake up, eat, shower, sleep. It more or less just fell in place naturally. So even as I was telling you that there was a routine as I came back to work, the house help knew. The child would wake up at 10. They'll have their breakfast. At about midday, they'll take their first nap. Then they'll have lunch. Then they'll take another nap in the afternoon. But there was no exact. But with time, it all fell in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Your son just began school. Oh, he's in PP1. And back in school, I believe, or I understand, there are quite a lot of things that takes place. You just mentioned I played with so-and-so, so-and-so hit me, teacher so-and-so did this. So how do you create space for your child to open up to you?
I'll also tell it from practice. What I've discovered is when I reach home is to ask, how was your day?
Okay.
And then he will tell me. First he comes, when we reach home, he comes to greet. Sometimes he greets the father and passes me, it's okay.
Polite.
And then he'll come back after I've complained. And then at some point I'll ask him, so how was your day? What did you learn? And sometimes he has schoolwork to do, which he will not do with anyone, and waits for me. So I'll tell him, now teach me, tell me what you are. Yeah. And then the other day on Sunday, we had a guest, a priest friend of my husband was visiting. And I'm just giving you examples of things that will get the child to speak. So I told him, hey, Father Dao is visiting us and you need to have some form of entertainment. So will you sing for him a song? Yeah. Which song? Thank you for sunshine. Thank you for... So he sang it. And then what else? I'll show him what we did in Taekwondo. I show him what we did. Yeah. So in Taekwondo, we're jumping on one foot like this. And then we did this. And then we told Taekwondo. Taekwondo is a good something. It helps us to grow in perseverance, self-control. And I thought, man, I better shout out to that Taekwondo coach. Because at 4, this child is being taught about perseverance, self-control. I thought, hey, my work is being done.
What is his name, the Taekwondo coach?
I do not know his name.
Shout out to you, coach.
He's in the school. It's a coach hired by the school.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also, as I know the plan of the school, so there's a day they have sports, they have extracurricular. So I ask him, what did you guys do today? Today we played football. And no one went to play football. We were doing. Let me tell you one interesting story out of those things. He came, opened the door. So he had something that had worried him. Then he says, Mom, Pendo died. I thought, what? Pendo died? What do you mean Pendo died? Yeah, Pendo died. So we had to sit down to listen to the story.
Let's talk about Pendo.
And then I thought, but let me call the teacher to confirm, because she has not informed us. So I called the teacher, and then the teacher said, no, Pendo had high temperature. So she fainted, kind of. So I had to explain to him what is to faint. But by then he had told me how what happened, how Pendo died, how she was carried out of class without clothes. Then the teachers went with her to hospital and they didn't come, and how they left class shouting. And I thought this is mob psychology. All of them thought the same. So when we gave this feedback to the teacher, she had to start explaining to them what happened. And then we all called Pendo's mom, and we had to let him speak to Pendo's mom. So from those experiences, and also he uses the school bus. So he'll come back and tell you, today, Arthur Kibe was my friend. Today, I fought with so-and-so. Today, someone... So there's that coming home and intentionally just being available. Be available to ask about how was your day, how was school, and then the stories will come. Sometimes, not all of them. Sometimes when he calls these aunties, then you'll hear, Auntie, this is my sister who's called Mom T. Mom T, in school what happened? So you pick the cues from there and then now develop the conversation.
Okay. Now for the teens or for those who are in upper... the system has just changed. I wanted to say upper primary.
Junior school.
Junior school. How do we avoid the response, my day was good?
In fact, not just that age, even campus.
Yes.
I think as I do a lot with parents in the university, I've experienced that you get a parent who is wondering what's wrong with this child. She doesn't want to talk. She's locking herself in the room. Gives me one statement. I think what I do and what I've been telling the students is to be intentional. Yeah, especially for university students. Remember, most of them went to boarding school from class 6 or class 4. Yeah, and then they finished Form 4. They have come to campus. They are staying in a hostel. Even if they are home, they are still strangers. These parents who are busy working. So it's to be intentional and look for activities to do. And I tell the students, look for activities to do with your father, with your mother. Be the one to propose them. Because the reality is, the two of you have not been together to know each other and to talk. But also, I tell parents to give their children some grace because they are growing. It's a developmental stage. The hormones are, haywire, especially if they are girls. Even the boys, they are growing. They're wondering, why are my hands longer than normal? What is happening here? So to give them, just be present as a parent, reassure them, let them know that even if the world was falling apart, I am here. Yeah, you can go, but I am here to give you support, to listen to you. Because then that way, when they get through that patch of life, they have a fallback plan. And even in that midst of being moody, not talking, saying one-word statements, they are aware that the person whom I can talk to is my father or my mother. Then also in that case, also to see with whom is this child moody more than the other. Then the one who manages to get through the child, that person can take the lead to keep the conversation. Yeah. So, and then always remember, as a parent, you're the grown-up. Yeah, the child is a child. So you cannot bring yourself to their level. Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe in sharenting?
Sharenting? What is
Yes.
sharenting?
Sharenting is posting your children or child online. And why? If it's a no or a yes, why or why not?
If you overdo it, I have a struggle with it. Once in a while, it's okay. When you're celebrating, I tell people I post things about my family with the children, with my child. Why? Because sometimes we have so many not so positive vibes on social media, and that is why people keep consuming. So if I will use my situation as a family to give something positive, I will post. But when you turn your child into a goddess or a god, and that is why you're putting the child out there over and over, then it beats the purpose. It becomes too much unnecessary publicity for the child. They have an individual life, a personal life, privacy. So let us also enjoy that personal space without us being the ones exposing it.
Thank you. Okay, Mama Ireri. That is a very unique name, and I mean, it will just stick in my head.
Oh, thank you.
So, what values are most important for you to pass to your children or child?
What values? That is very interesting. First, as a parent, you need to appreciate that parenthood is a gift and a great privilege. Yeah? So it is not just anything for anyone. So also in that process, I think from my own experience and the experience interaction with the parents, some of the things that we need to teach our children include gratitude. Yeah, that let's just teach them how to be grateful for the little things, that you came home and found mommy, say thank you, that you had a meal, that you woke up, that you have clothes. So let us teach our children to be grateful. It's a value, and they need to see it from us. That we are also telling them, thank you for the cup of tea. Thank you for being a good child. You know, I was listening to Jordan Peterson on Sunday. I was telling you, then he says one of his children gave him a difficulty, was a difficult child. So let's call the child Marcus. So he told the child, Marcus, you know, we love you as parents. We love you a lot, but we're finding it so difficult to be with you and to look after you. Now, can you imagine the people out there who don't love you? So let's show gratitude. Let's show love. Let the children learn how to express affection and love from us. It is something that is very necessary. Let us also teach them how to be resilient. Yeah, that they say tough times don't last, but tough people last. Yeah, and how do we teach? By them seeing us. Let them see us going through a hard time. Let them experience it. Let's not shield them. Let them realize, hey, you know, mom and dad are about to be auctioned. And we are all praying that we don't get auctioned.
Very true.
Yeah, that we have not paid. Let them, because that they learn that difficulties are necessary, but they should not crush us. Yeah? So also let us teach them resilience. I'll specify, I'll talk about those three. Gratitude, affection and love, and then
resilience.
Resilience.
Perfect. Okay. So Ireri is just young, and one of the values you've mentioned is showing love just passing the love and affection. Children will always mess. So how do you handle discipline?
Yes.
While still nurturing that loving relationship between you and Ireri?
Let me start. I'm a Christian and I believe in God. Let me start by saying that it is impressive how God has created us as parents. As a parent, we have few things that we can do without leaving a distasteful taste or imagination or in the child. And that includes even reprimanding. Once the child knows and sees that you are reprimanding from a point of love, they will not resent. They will not feel bad. In fact, I'm sure with your little one, you've experienced when you discipline, they cry coming back to you.
Yes.
They don't go away. Because they realize I've done something wrong. It is painful, but so you need to also come down. So after that, then as they grow, have an agreement. I think now we are talking a lot with the children. It is no longer I coming to impose. So let's have clear rules that in our home, these are the things we will do. When you do this, it is not appropriate. So for example, if my husband sees Ireri hitting me, he has to take that responsibility to let Ireri know that mom is my wife, and so you cannot hit her. And he needs to explain, no, you cannot do that to mama. It is wrong, because she will feel pain, and I love her. So to explain the things, to discipline, let us not postpone and say, I don't need to cause any pain. If time for pinching comes, pinch. The other day, he already produced a bamboo stick for me to be punishing him with. So I told him, in our school, he used to lie down and then he'll be beaten. So it's very interesting.
Where did he get it from?
I do not know how he got it. And that bamboo stick has been in the house. He's been looking for it. So I told him, Mama, here.
Ooh.
Of course, we will not use it. But you know those naughty corners, sometimes they don't work. Pinching could work. Depriving something they like. But let them know the why. Don't just do it. Let them know that because you are to do 1, 2, 3 and it didn't happen, I think we'll take back this benefit that you're going to enjoy. So discipline, be clear with it. From God's perspective, when you punish out of love, the child doesn't resent it, but they love it. It's the same thing as the children are growing. Only the parents can talk to them about sexual education. You are woman, you are girl, sex is what. The parent, when they do it, the child listens with a very clean mind and they learn. But when it's someone else, then it becomes distorted.
Okay. My next question, I just want to laugh. What's a hilarious parenting fail you will never forget?
Hilarious parental fail?
Yes.
That I will never forget. Let me tell you, this one is very interesting. It has its roots in our disagreement with my husband. So there's a day, I don't know what happened, and we had disagreed. So I was so upset. And then the child had such high fever, was so sick.
Whoa.
So I remember I took the child, I put on my back, I tied a lesson. I told myself, I'm going to walk to Aga Khan myself. You won't take me. So the poor guy was left there. And then it started raining. And I have this. So I went to Aga Khan, I stayed. And then a friend of mine came and I thought, now what foolish thing is that I was doing? The health of the child is for both of us to be responsible, not for one person, so that is one. The other failure is having an argument in the presence of the child. And it was a bit heated that the child started telling us, Mama, it is okay. Papa, it is okay. What is the... I realized, we are traumatizing the child. So that also has come out very clearly.
Okay. The Aga Khan one.
The Aga Khan was quite... I look back and I've never asked my husband his thoughts about that action. I'm afraid.
Did you come back to the same house?
I came back to the same house and moved on. But it was so funny how I picked that child. Then he asked me, where are you going? I didn't even answer. Yeah.
Okay. Will you describe a moment when your child completely outsmarted you?
A moment when he completely outsmarted me. Yes, actually there are many, but now I forget. There are quite a number that all of us have remained like, especially even calling things. Yeah, so there are many. In fact, there isn't one. I can't remember. I don't know why. But let me give you an example. We were going, I don't know where we were going. And then we had to Then I was there saying, Mazima moto. Then he said, no, Mama, that's a fire truck.
When I was in Mamoto, keti kando.
It's a fire truck. And realized, okay. Yeah. And then the other one was what? Recently, there's something he did. I can't even remember. And I was like, hey, you mean you know better than I do?
He does.
I can't remember it. Yeah.
He's in school. He's learning. Other than school, even just watching those small clips, the reels, they're learning from that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you're doing a good job in the mentoring department, being an alumni of Strathmore University. Of course, I just mentioned Karuakori as my mentor even now. So just for yourself, how do you take care of your own mental and emotional health while raising a child or being a parent?
Being a parent, very important. First and foremost, you have to learn how to create your time out, your me time. Yeah, and let the child know, let the family know. Yeah, so I use my me time in different ways. Sometimes it's to do prayer. Yesterday I went to work and I remember I reached home and then it really tells me, can I come with you? I said, no, I'm not going with you. So I just went, had my earphones and listened to ABBA. I mean, I think yesterday's evening walk was the best. I even danced on the road to ABBA. So you have to be very intentional to just stop and have that me time. That even if it's to sit and read a book, it's okay. If it is to sit and watch a movie, I've had times of telling them, hey guys, today I want to watch a movie alone. Yeah? So find something to do. Yeah? Every year I take off and go for an annual retreat. Again, I think that is my own me time. So be intentional in each, not every day, have some time. Because you need to breathe. If you are a mother, yours is 2 years, isn't it?
No, 1 year, 4 months.
Oh, wait for 2 years. Now at 2, they cry for nothing. And so you reach home. You reach home and this child starts crying and wondering, why exactly are you crying?
Excuse me.
So do you imagine you'll go to the washroom and lock yourself there?
I will start crying.
Of course, they'll come to the door, Mama, come out. They say, no. So people discover in their homes where are the peaceful places. For some, it's in the bathroom. They turn on the water. They feel like they're showering, but they just wanted. So you have to be very intentional on when to tell and speak it out. Yeah, speak it out. Yeah. From the mentoring point of view, I go for debriefs, for supervision. Yes, I have a psychologist whom I see from time to time, and I talk about my experiences, what is happening, and how I resolved. What am I carrying? Which is important. But also I have another older person whom I talk to about my life, my family life. My relations with people, yeah, and this one we meet every 2 weeks just to sit down and I tell her, hey man, this aspect of in my marriage is giving me this challenge. So look for that time to reflect upon things. Also be intentional to create that time, me time, even if it means I will go to the kitchen and cook and tell people out. That is your me time. Yeah. So look for that thing that helps you to reconnect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I've learned something. I mean, I will go to the washroom and cry.
At 2 years. At 2 years, you'll find yourself doing that.
Am I ready for that? God, please give me the grace.
But it doesn't. Those are the joys of parenting.
Yes, again.
In the end, you realize, you mean somebody was crying for nothing, and I'm the one to
stop them.
Yes.
Okay. So, Cosleeping or crib?
Hey, as we did crib.
Okay.
We had Cosleeping until 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And personally, I wanted to be with the baby in the bed for longer. Then my husband one day just and then told me, let him sleep here. So the agreement was, it's okay. When he wakes up at night, bring him for feeding.
Yes.
He didn't do it diligently, but that was it. And then when we were about 9-10 months, I met a colleague. She's called Ronnie Njane. And then we were talking. She told me, he still sleeps in your room. He needs to be out. That one
9 months.
Quite at 10 months, my son was out of our room.
No way, Celeste.
In his own room.
9 months.
10 months. I was left at 10 months. And then it made sense because now when I was waking up in the morning to do whatever, he would be up. And then now you get distracted. When he moved, the first night was difficult. I found myself going many times to check on him. But also he started sleeping through the night early.
Okay.
Yeah, I think from 6 months, he was sleeping from when he will sleep at 8:30 to the next morning at 9:10. Yeah. So that one was also good. So the first few nights I wake up.
Because he was still feeding. Okay? So you used to take milk to his room?
No, see, once he's asleep, he's asleep.
Wow.
The only thing that he'll feed well, we'll make sure he's fed well, he's warm, and then he'll sleep. Now, to date, my son, he can come to our bed and say, I want to sleep here. But after a few minutes, he say, Baba, take me to my room.
They're like, I'm not comfortable here, guys. Take me to my room.
Yeah, so I think he was in our bed for 2 weeks. And that was it. And I was a CS, a C-section.
What?
Mother, yeah? So it is possible. What that does in retrospect is it brings in a lot of independence. Yeah, because I think I look at him, even now at 4, he wakes up to make his bed. Not perfectly.
Wait, to make his bed?
Yes, not perfectly, but he will. Yeah?
Yes.
And then he, now, again, Teacher Kai's story, he dresses himself. Okay. So we have strongly talked about privacy. And even me, I'm thrown out. So he's still learning how to bathe himself. But yeah, so it has brought in a lot of aspects of independence that even when he goes out to play, I'm not worried. I know he will. Yeah.
Okay. The first thing I heard from my daughter saying was Mimi.
Yes.
So Mimi, and then she'll lift her hand, meaning Mimi, twende na wewe. Mimi, nataka chakula. Mimi, like Mimi was there, and I was like, msichana, what are you saying, Mimi? What is Mimi? Umetoa wapi Mimi?
Yeah.
So for you, was it the first word or the first step? Which one felt magical?
Magical. The first one was the banana. Yeah, he didn't say banana. He said bamama. And you see, from an earlier age, even when he was crawling, he has loved bananas. So he'll crawl to the pantry and pick the bananas for himself. So when you'll catch him, you say, Bamama, Bamama, yeah? So Bamama was the first. And then later on followed Baba, which we argued about. I told him, no, you need to say Mama, not Baba. Then say, Baba. No, say Mama.
And they'll repeat Baba.
So Baba was the next one, and then now the rest of the vocabulary started coming. Yeah.
Okay. So bedtime story or lullaby?
Bedtime stories.
Oh,
bedtime stories. Especially reading. So him is a person who prefers you read the story for him, and if he loves the story, you'll read it over and over and over. I mean, we've read Pinocchio's story in my house until I got tired. But when you get tired and tell him now it's enough of reading, he will sing himself to sleep. So So I'm not the one who sings, but you'll hear him singing whichever song comes to his head until he sleeps now.
Does he go to Sunday school?
We have tried, but we used to go to Consolata, and we took him to Sunday school. Once he survived, second time he refused. So now we go to the Nunciature. There's no Sunday school. But his joy is we reach early so that he can greet Bishop Bart. And then at Mass, he knows I cannot disrupt the bishop until he finishes. But when he's leaving, he's on the one of altar boys.
Yes.
He's on that line.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they have a moment, and then I think that has made him love church. And he tells us, when we're going, he tells us, we're not going to Consolata, we're going to the Nuncio. So we are stuck.
I brought in the question of if he's in Sunday school, just to understand, where does he get his songs from? Maybe school. Yeah.
No, the ones who sing in the church. School and the ones who sing in the church.
Okay. So what would you like to tell Ireri in the next 5 years? He will be listening to this podcast. What would you like to tell him?
It'll be 9 years. Oh my. But would like to tell him that he's a great joy. He brought a lot of joy, a lot of life to our home. He brought us a gift that we are always grateful for. That is motherhood and fatherhood. And not only that, we are praying, hoping, and really looking forward to seeing the person he turns out to be. Yeah. So we hope he won't disappoint us.
He won't.
That he'll be a responsible young person. And he will do great things in the world.
Amen. Okay. Thank you so much, Celestine, for showing up for this podcast. And thank you so much to our audience. My name is Teresa, and I've been your host today for the Parenting Podcast and the Strathmore Vibes Podcast. Thanks.
Thank you, Teresa.